Have you ever noticed how powerful it feels when you simply walk away, not slam the door, not shout, not explain yourself for the 100th time, just walk away? It feels quiet, almost small, but sometimes that quiet step is the loudest message you could ever send. Today, we're talking about why walking away breaks their ego and why Stoicism teaches that silence and distance can be more powerful than arguments. Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried to prove your worth to someone who kept disrespecting you? Maybe you explained yourself again and again. Maybe you tried to be calmer, kinder, better, but nothing changed. Why? Because when someone's ego is in control, they don't want understanding. They want control. They want a reaction. They want you to stay, no matter how they treat you. And the moment you walk away, their ego feels it. Here's the first reason walking away hits so hard. When you stop reacting, you take away their power. Some people feed on reactions. Your anger, your tears, your long emotional messages. It makes them feel important. It makes them feel powerful. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote that you have power over your mind, not over outside events. Most people try to control outside events. Stoics control their response. When you argue back, you're still playing the game. When you desperately defend yourself, you're still inside their frame. But when you calmly say, "This is not for me," and walk away, the game ends. And ego hates losing control. Now here's the second reason. Walking away creates silence, and silence forces reflection. When you're always available, always replying, always explaining, there's no space. They never truly feel your absence, but absence is powerful. Have you ever noticed how someone suddenly realizes your value only after you're gone? That's not magic. That's space. When you're no longer there to absorb their behavior, they're left alone with themselves. And ego doesn't like being alone. Because silence brings questions. Why did they leave? Did I push too far? Will they come back? Those questions scratch at pride. Stoicism teaches emotional independence, not coldness, not cruelty, but self-respect. Another Stoic teacher, Epictetus, was once a slave. He had no control over his body, but he had complete control over his response. He taught that no one can truly harm you unless you allow their behavior to disturb your inner peace. Walking away is not weakness. It is choosing peace over chaos. Now let's talk about the third reason. Walking away exposes insecurity. Ego looks strong, but most of the time, it's fragile. Someone who constantly needs to win, dominate, or be right is often deeply afraid of being ignored. When you argue, you confirm they matter. When you chase, you confirm they matter. When you beg for clarity, you confirm they matter. But when you calmly walk away, you show them you don't need their validation, and that's what shakes them. Because ego feeds on importance. If you remove that supply, it feels like starvation. Let's make this real. Imagine someone who constantly disrespects you in small ways. Sarcastic comments, delayed replies, hot and cold behavior. If you react emotionally, they stay comfortable. They know you're invested. But if one day you stop texting, stop explaining, stop showing up where you're not valued, now the dynamic changes. Not because you punished them, but because you chose yourself. And here's the fourth reason walking away breaks ego. It shows strength without noise. We live in a world that thinks power has to be loud. Arguments, clapbacks, public drama. But Stoicism is quiet strength. It's knowing your worth without shouting it. It's leaving without announcing it. Without revenge, without trying to prove a point. That calm exit sends a clear message. I respect myself too much to stay where I am not respected. And ego feels threatened by that kind of confidence. Because it cannot manipulate it. There's something else important here. Walking away is not about breaking someone. It's about protecting yourself. Stoicism is not a philosophy of revenge. It's a philosophy of self-mastery. When you walk away, you're not trying to hurt them. You're trying to stop hurting yourself. And ironically, that self-control is what makes them uncomfortable. Let's go deeper. Why do people's egos react so strongly to being left? Because leaving removes their illusion of superiority. If someone believes they are above you, they expect you to tolerate more, to chase more, to try harder. But when you leave first, you flip the script. You show them you are not dependent. That creates a kind of mental shock. Their mind struggles with it. How can they leave me? They'll be back. They need me. But when you don't come back, the ego begins to crack. Now let me be clear. Walking away only works if it's real. If you leave hoping they panic and chase you, that's still ego playing against ego. True Stoic detachment is peaceful. You don't block to provoke. You don't ignore to manipulate. You simply detach. And detachment is powerful because it comes from clarity. You realize, I cannot control how someone treats me, but I can control whether I stay. That's Stoic strength. Let's talk about emotional control. Most conflicts continue because both people keep reacting. You say something. They respond emotionally. You react again. It becomes a cycle. But when one person steps out of that cycle, the cycle collapses. That's why walking away feels so shocking. It breaks the pattern, and ego thrives on patterns where it wins. Now imagine a workplace situation. A boss constantly undermines you. A colleague takes credit for your ideas. You try to explain. You defend yourself. Nothing changes. But then you quietly update your resume. You apply elsewhere. You leave professionally and calmly. Suddenly, they realize your value, not because you complained louder, but because you removed your contribution. Presence is often underestimated. Your energy, your effort, your loyalty. When you withdraw them calmly, they are felt. And here's something even deeper. Walking away creates growth for both sides. For you, it builds discipline. You learn to tolerate temporary loneliness instead of long-term disrespect. For them, it creates consequence, and consequence humbles ego. Stoicism teaches us not to attach our happiness to people who do not value us. That doesn't mean we avoid love. It means we love with dignity. You can care deeply and still walk away. You can feel hurt and still choose peace. That is emotional maturity. And emotional maturity intimidates fragile egos, because fragile egos expect drama. They expect pleading. They expect chaos. But calm distance? That's unfamiliar. Let's address the fear. Many people don't walk away because they're afraid. What if I lose them? What if they forget me? What if I end up alone? But ask yourself something stronger. What if staying is what's slowly breaking you? Stoicism asks you to focus on what you control. You cannot control whether someone values you. You can control whether you tolerate being undervalued. That's it. Walking away is not about pride. It's about alignment. If someone consistently crosses your boundaries and you keep staying, you teach them your boundaries are flexible. But when you leave, you make your boundary real. And ego respects what it cannot bend. Sometimes walking away doesn't break their ego instantly. Sometimes they act indifferent. Sometimes they pretend not to care, but ego works silently. When they notice you're not checking their stories, not reacting to their posts, not reaching out, curiosity begins to grow, and curiosity turns into discomfort. Because ego hates uncertainty, it wants reassurance, and your silence gives none. But remember this, do not walk away for a reaction. Walk away for your peace. If they grow, good. If they don't, that's also good. Because your goal is not to fix their ego. Your goal is to master your own. That is the heart of Stoicism. Control yourself. Release the rest. When you reach that level, something shifts inside you. You no longer argue just to win. You no longer explain yourself endlessly. You no longer chase closure from people who lack clarity. You choose dignity, and dignity is rare. In a world of emotional overreaction, a calm departure is revolutionary. Walking away is saying, I know who I am. I know what I deserve. And I am not afraid to stand alone. That confidence lingers, even if they never admit it, even if they never apologize, even if they move on quickly. Your self-respect remains intact, and nothing is more powerful than that. So if you're standing at that edge right now, if you're tired of explaining your value, if you're exhausted from defending your peace, maybe the most stoic move you can make is to stop talking and start walking. If this message spoke to you, take a moment. Like this video so more people can learn the power of quiet strength. Comment below, I choose peace, if you're ready to protect your energy. And subscribe for more lessons on Stoicism and inner strength. Remember, sometimes the strongest response is no response at all.